Good evening. Welcome to the June 8, 2021 meeting of the Pequannock Township Council. Ms. Marsh?
In accordance with the requirements of New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice, which was filed in the office of the Township Clerk, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, published as a legal notice in Suburban Trends newspaper, and distributed to all persons requesting notice in accordance with Township policy.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer and a moment of thanks for individuals serving our nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Most gracious Providence, we ask that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding, so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and the general welfare for all the people of Pequannock Township. Amen.
Amen. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Here.
Mr. Hurd?
Here.
Mr. Cole?
Here.
Mr. Phelan?
Here.
Mayor Russell?
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
There are no presentations scheduled for this evening, so at this time, if there are any reports or comments from any of the volunteers serving our community, please come up to the podium.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Randy.
So nice to see you in person.
Yay.
Hooray. No masks or anything. I was fully vaccinated a while ago, and it feels very good to be out and about. And, at Shamrock, we're starting to get some students inside, so it's just fantastic. It's a real blessing. But first of all, I wanted to do some reporting. We have some other members of the Social Equity Council that are also going to report on some progress since the last time we were here. First of all, I would like to really thank you from the bottom of my heart for the proclamation that you have put together to commemorate Pride Month. It was so important, and there were so many that were just filled with real emotion and the feeling that they haven't felt in this township for a while, which is truly that they hadn't felt welcome. So again, thank you for doing that. It was very, very important to do so. I also understand at the last meeting we had a discussion about the possibility of flying a pride flag in front of the building here. And even though there were some reservations from you, you had all said that you would be happy to have one at your home. So I have brought these each for you that are donated from the Social Equity Council and the Propel organization as well. So I can hand these to you now, or would you like to
just give them to Carol?
Okay.
Yeah. How many do you have there, Randy?
I have 9.
Okay, because I have 3 houses. 2 in Vermont, 1 here.
He could also afford to buy them. I can afford 3 houses.
Thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
Charge me triple. Yeah, charge me triple.
Yeah. So thank you for doing that as well. But I would like to still request that the township, it's Pride Month all month long, and that you still consider flying a flag, a pride flag, in front of the town hall here. Again, not everybody gets a chance to see the proclamation that's been put together. People don't listen and watch the council meetings. They don't go to the website to read what's going on. We've done the best we can do to get it around on social media the best that we can. But as you know, that's limited as well. There are some people that are not on social media. So a pride flag would certainly announce to our township that we are a welcoming community, and I know it's a tough decision to do that, but I did want to read the other towns that surround Pequannock and that are in Morris County that already fly pride flags in front of their town halls. And they would be Boonton Township, Butler, Chatham Borough, Denville, Dover, Jefferson, Mount Olive, Madison, Mendham, Morristown, Morris Plains, Morris Township, Parsippany, the Morris County Board of County Commissioners, and Wayne Township, which they just did that for the first time just a few days ago. So, not to say that, I'm telling you to jump off the Brooklyn Bridge here, so you should, because everybody else is doing it, but, I think just with the proclamation, seeing the response to it, I mean, I've only seen positive things, and I think it can only mean even more to everybody in our community that a pride flag would show the township fully supports and welcomes everybody in our community. I think that's one other thing I wanted to say too, that we have already gone ahead and purchased a flag. And I don't really know what the dimensions would be exactly, but we've purchased a flag, and we'd be willing to also donate that to the township, so that can be flown on the flagpole out here. And if that is not something that you really want to consider, maybe some of these flags, we have more of them, they can be planted in the garden out there, which is a beautiful new garden out in front of Town Hall here. Plant a few of those also would be a nice show of support. So thank you for that consideration. Do you have any questions for me?
So I have a comment.
Okay.
I would not mind putting these out in the garden.
Okay.
That's my personal opinion.
Okay.
I don't know how the rest of the council feels about it, but
Okay.
I'm okay with that. Crickets.
Yeah, anyone else want to weigh in on that?
I mean, I'd be fine with that too if we have them.
Do we own it?
I think you have to ask the church
I think we
first.
have to ask the church.
We don't
I
own
don't think
it.
they would have a
okay.
problem with it.
No, I don't think they would, but we certainly would ask.
I think it would be more appropriate if the town asked rather than Propel, because
Yeah.
we have the lease agreement with the church.
Can we all agree to ask? And
Yeah, I don't have a problem asking.
I think it should come from the township manager.
yeah, that's why I'm
The
looking at
township
you.
manager's counted to 3. He has direction.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Dave is, the youth pastor over there, the youth minister, so, and he's part of the Social Equity Council. My guess is he'd be very welcoming, and I do think it's appropriate that the town asks, so thank you for that. And again, if you want to further consider raising a flag, even if it's for that final weekend, which is, really the full celebration, that would be something that would really, really mean a lot to everybody. But thank you again for that. I appreciate that. Okay, I think we have some other members that want to speak.
Usually we have,
Come on up, Rain.
usually we have one person
Yeah.
committee.
What's that?
No, usually when we do reports, like one person gives the whole report, so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But it's okay.
All right, we will do that.
So Randy, the 25th, 26th, and 27th is the,
Yeah, it commemorates the Stonewall riots from 51 years ago. All right, so Rain, come on.
Hi, I'm Rain Osmansky. I live at 5 White Birch Ave, Pompton Plains, New Jersey. You know that. Anyways, I guess I also just wanted to say thank you real quick for the proclamation. I also appreciate it a lot. But anyways, I just wanted to read a Social Equity Council update. So first, Chilton Medical Center, June 4th, 2021, Bella Basile presented the Pequannock Township Pride Month proclamation at their Pride flag raising ceremony. Pride Lawn Flag Program, month of June. Dozens of Pride lawn flags have been picked up from displays throughout the community. Welcoming Pride month of June, Pride Rainbow window clings are being displayed on the front doors of Pequannock Township businesses. Cling distributions will continue through the month of June. And Pride Book Program, coordinated with school librarians, Propel Pequannock members are donating age-appropriate books to township schools. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. You know what, we're just going to go into public comments, and then you can speak during public comments.
With the Social Equity Council, I just want to say I hope you
Okay,
guys are
sure.
really proud of your Social Equity Council as propelled Pequannock is. They've done a fantastic job. And Adam, just want to let you know, I have the flags. I'll give my card to Carol to contact me after you talk to the church.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Carol. Thanks very much.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is public comments. This public comment period will be limited to a total of 30 minutes. An additional period for public comment is reserved later in the meeting. Individuals are requested to limit their questions and comments to 3 minutes. If anyone wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized, come to the microphone, and provide your name and address for the record. Nick?
Nick DiStefano, 28 Greenwood Ave. I figure it's been a while, I might be a little longer than normal. But first off, Dave, since I hadn't seen you, I've seen Ryan several times. I wanted to just congratulate you on your re-election.
Thank you.
And then Kyle, you know, you and Ryan must have pulled the short straws for when to become mayors. You know, talk about a difficult time. But, all right, the first thing I want to bring up is what is the status of the rail trail? Obviously, it was supposed to start this year, well, actually last year, but they pushed it off to this year. Have you guys heard anything?
I believe it went out to bid, and then all the bids were scrapped, and they're doing it again?
They were received by the county in January. All bids were rejected. Through a recent conversation I had with Chris Fitz, the county engineer, he informed me that they were going to go out to bid this month again.
But did they explain why those bids were scrapped? Because I thought it was, you know, that was just strange, you know?
It may be the largest project the county has ever undertaken. My understanding is there were more than 80 questions on the bid documents, so there's a variety of reasons they could have rejected all the bids. I don't know what that is, though.
Okay, all right.
Adam, that was the largest project the county has ever taken on?
It may be, yes.
That makes no sense.
I think it's estimated in excess of $20 million.
Yeah.
How much did that safety center cost?
I think
19
less.
million.
I believe it or not, I think less.
Did they ever get the properties resolved that people that encroached on the...
Yes, everything.
That held it up.
All
That's
of
what
the
held it
issues
up.
that were outstanding with respect to encroachments and other dynamics, that's all been...
Yeah, I know that
Now
was all
it's- now
taken
it's a
care
matter
of a
of
while ago.
procurement.
Right.
Okay, the second thing I wanted to bring up is about the, with 4th of July coming up. I know I've contacted council regarding some of the large-scale fireworks that have been going off where it's actually causing damage. And one of the explosions that went off by my house not too long ago actually lit the woods on fire on both sides. And I mean, I contacted the chief and asked them, is there anything more as far as making the ordinance stricter? Because obviously some of these fireworks are getting stronger and stronger. The one explosion that went off by my house, even before the fire one, was it actually dislodged a drain pipe in my roof, and actually water started spilling in from my ceiling, and I had to come home from a trip because my 2 daughters were scared to death. So I think we have to start looking into, instead of being like, okay, somebody just lit off some fireworks. I mean, the one that went off by my house, people that lived, over by Rita's thought CVS blew up.
That was last year, right? It wasn't this year?
Yeah, that one was right around election.
Right,
And then the other one was, in
I think our police have been pretty good with answering the calls, because I know when I hear them go off by me, next thing you know, I hear sirens.
Kyle, everything's been quiet, but guess what? Look
It's
at the
coming
date.
up, yeah.
So I'm a
unfortunately,
little
because
concerned.
some of them are illegal, those are illegal fireworks.
yeah.
So it's against the law.
Yeah,
know?
exactly. All right, the next thing I want to bring up, and I just want to see how you guys view it, as the elections come into the future about, profanity used on signs, whether it be F your feelings, F this one, no more BS. Like, I know it's a sketchy issue because of the First Amendment about, my concern is in a year from now, we don't start seeing F signs all over town. And I know, like I said, it's an issue that other towns are dealing with where,
So Nick, I think those signs are disgusting. I don't know if we can do anything about it.
I know. A lot of towns have been trying to do something.
Under free speech,
Yeah,
and it's
I mean,
on somebody's personal property, but in my opinion, they're disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
Well, that, my whole
I don't
thing...
think I've ever seen those signs.
Oh, God, they're all over. They're all over the
You haven't,
place.
really?
Up in Vermont, yeah.
But, if somebody...
Rich probably has F Biden on every other block.
Now, when we've gotten, the township has gotten complaints around, not recently, but around the election time about the signs. And honestly, in terms of priorities, unfortunately, this is one of those examples where really bad taste and really bad judgment seems to be protected by the First Amendment. So we're going to have to be really careful not to overreact to it. The hope would be that, the general public views that as a negative and views the candidates as negative for whom that kind of language is used, and that's enough of a deterrent to keep people from doing it. But
my concern, Robert, is if you have an 8 and a 10-year-old that lives right across the street and has to walk out of their house and see that every day, for months.
You're not alone, and
so that's
going to be an issue. We keep watching. I expect that people will continue to try to push the envelope as far as they can push it.
Yeah.
I don't know that we as a small town want to get out in front of it.
I know.
Ours, I've seen them in town, so you're absolutely right. They are in town. They're fairly prominent. But they are, it would be difficult.
Somebody have a Geiger.
Well, I know the wording is, vulgar, you're not allowed. So you can say F this, but you can't this. That they have to.
Nick, do you have a Tiger counter on you?
Trying to figure out.
AV issues.
What?
I think it's you, Rich.
Might be. Radioactive.
We'll keep watching it.
Oh, it's Ryan. It's Ryan.
Fingers.
It was you, Ryan?
We're on the bar, AV guy.
So leave it out.
Yeah, of course.
We'll leave it out.
All right.
An idea for that, too, might be reach out to either the person or if it's a local candidate, to reach out, you wouldn't allow somebody to have that.
Yeah, no, of course, and I don't care.
I don't think
I don't
anybody
care
here
what
would.
side it is. It just
it's
can't
wrong.
happen.
It's definitely wrong.
Kyle, I'll give you an example. There's somebody in town who's got signs on their property that somebody confronted them, and they just made it worse.
Yeah, well,
Is there profanity?
No, not yet.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Also, I'd like to thank you guys, too. I know how hard everybody's been working regarding, and just recognizing and doing the proclamation was just so important to so many. So I'd like to personally thank you guys again, thank everybody for all their hard work. All right, the last thing, like I said, I'm making up for the year and a half I haven't been here. The last thing is...
timing him.
I know I sent some of you guys regarding this zoning issue that I'm going through, and I'm starting to, I should know exactly what I'm dealing with this week. But I just wanted to just make you guys all aware. I'm going to give you a little bit more information on, because I did go through all the zoning in the town, and I just want everyone to recognize there is a difference between these homes that are doing whatever they can to improve their situation and some of these extreme setback rules are going to really not only make it incredibly difficult and costly, but in certain cases create a hazard and cause a dangerous situation on some of these homes, which especially some of these homes, are literally 10 feet from the street. And on Greenwood Ave especially, most of the homes all fall into this incredibly large setback where other streets like Madison that do not have that.
Right.
So that's why I just I'll be giving you guys more information soon, but as the zoning officer said, it's a law. Well, some laws need to be changed, and if I have to be the person to spur that, like I've spurred many things in the past, I will take that as my responsibility to make sure that these people that are doing the right thing that needs to be done are not being held back because of 30 inches or 16 inches, or, like I said, being forced into a situation where they're actually creating a hazardous situation. So I'm going to be giving you guys more information, hopefully in the next couple days.
That's good. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Anne Marie?
Hi, everyone. Anne Marie Finnan, 166 Boulevard. I'm actually going to piggyback on the Social Equity Council. I'm not a member of that committee, so I didn't feel it was appropriate to jump up at that point. But you've heard, I know Rain mentioned, I know you've heard Paul mention that they have this initiative, Propel does, of giving clings, window clings, to the businesses in town and asking them to display them in support of the community. And I was intrigued when I first heard this, and I've been following their social media posts, and I've learned that quite a few of our businesses in town have agreed to display the clings. They're this very small, beautiful rainbow heart. And I just think it's a fantastic idea, to allow businesses to take a little action to demonstrate their inclusiveness and their welcoming nature. And so I just thought I offered to read the businesses, and I didn't realize it was such a long list, so I will read quickly, but I just think it's nice, and I wanted to give a shout out to these
Amber,
businesses. Yes.
Can I get one for my business? I'm not in town,
Right.
but
I
would take one for my
business.
business
Can I
in
have one?
Montville.
Wayne.
I'm sure the committee here is taking note, absolutely. We have a lot of them, and my understanding is throughout the month, they're going to be distributing them, and more places are requesting them. And so here are the names of the businesses: Barty's Bar and Grill, Bark Avenue Grooming, Bazzi Pools, Bill's Arrangement, Boston Lewis Jewelers, Bruno's Drive-Thru, Crossroads Finance, Cycle Room, Deals All Year, Discount Cleaners, Escape Salon, Fresco's Bagels, Forward Motion PT, Gatehouse Art Restoration, Goodwill Store, Happy Hound, Initial Encounter Embroidery, Casey's Bagels, Kenny's Pit Stop, King's Kid Deli, Knit Not Matter, Laptop MD, LA Design and Construction, LJ's Nails Allure, Luxcraft Cabinets, Myomic Kitchen, Myofactor Supplements, Pequannock Appliance, Pequannock Cleaners, Pequannock Deli, Plaza 23 Diner, Rentals Unlimited, Ravez Indian Cuisine, South Beach Tanning, Stefan's Pure Blends Pierogies, Steve's Art of Framing, Sun's Nails and Spa, Tavern 5, Wayne Electronics, and White Kurt Realty. As of today, those are the businesses, and I just know when I go to them, I'm going to make a point of saying, hey, thanks for displaying it and for taking that action. I personally do support, as you know, raising the flag for this month, but I also love the idea of putting flags if the First Reformed Church will allow it. I love the idea of putting some there too. Thank you all for all your work.
So Anne Marie, can I have that one?
Sure, you can have.
Thank you. Well, you don't mind if I put it up to Wayne, right?
I'll hand it to Ms. Mark.
I asked first.
Thank you.
Anne Marie,
I got one.
If there's
Yeah.
business, excuse me, if there's businesses that want to be added, do they contact you or somebody else?
Propel, so Paul Maller. You can, certainly, if you contact me, I'll pass the word along, definitely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great. Are there any other public comments? There being no additional public comments, we will continue on with the agenda. The next item on our agenda is the manager's report. Mr. Brewer.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. Just as a follow-up, at the last meeting, there was some significant concern expressed associated with parking challenges in the vicinity of Newark Pompton Turnpike and Prospect Avenue. Just to report back to the council and the public, meeting was held with key staff, including the police department and the public works department. A number of us have walked the area. We've looked at different options. Both staff and I have talked to the county engineer's office. There's actually some marking paint out now. As it was discovered, there are a lot of areas on the turnpike where parking is legally prohibited, but has been happening. So the initial thing to do is to denote the spaces that parking is prohibited with marked paint. The county's given us the green light on that. Post signage in the various areas where there are no parking from here to corner, because as we were made aware at the last meeting, there are a number of people who are concerned about sight distance and turning and different safety issues on the turnpike in the vicinity of it. So that will be addressed moving forward in short order. We just have to wait for the paint to come in. I think a good first step is identifying what's in place, enforcing the existing things. There was targeted enforcement this weekend, and then we move from there. If legislative action is needed by the council moving forward, I think we take it step by step, and the council can consider different changes moving forward. But just to report back again that action is already underway with respect to those concerns. Next item, the ordinance with respect to cannabis is scheduled for continued public hearing and additional discussion, as well as the ordinance for the police department rules and regulations, as was previously discussed. That has been updated over the last 20 plus years. Last time it was done by ordinance of this body, but after that it was by the manager as the appropriate authority over the police department. So through discussion with Mr. Oostdijk, recommendation was made to put the ordinance in place, actually providing the appropriate authority with the legislative power to do that. As discussed and directed, sale of municipal property, Block 4606, Lot 2, which is a non-conforming 25-foot by 100-foot lot to contiguous property owners, was directed. An ordinance has been prepared for introduction or potential introduction. We have a large purchase tonight. There are two resolutions to purchase a very large truck. As we discussed during the budget season, truck number 610, which is a large dump truck used for multiple uses. As the council may be aware, so the public's awareness, you buy a chassis, and then you buy a body, and then you marry the two, and it costs almost as much as my first house. But the trucks last for 20 plus years. It is a replacement truck, and the virtue of this truck will be it can serve multiple uses with multiple bodies and do a lot of different things for the community. So we look forward to that. In case there's any questions, I wanted to just mention that's why there's two resolutions. We have a discussion item regarding proclamations based on some recent conversation. And then not a legislative item scheduled for tonight's meeting. I just wanted to report on PV Park. So a little rough start. Memorial Day weekend wasn't the balmy, wonderful, celebratory weekend as we like to usually see at PV Park. This past weekend was great, but from a statistical perspective, as of June 3rd, we had 916 members signed up. Compared to 2019, which is the last normal year, there were 821 members. Last year at this time, there were 264. By way of comparison, last year we ended up with 1,300 and change. I don't believe we had more than 1,400 with the current structure of membership. So I think we're in pretty good shape, and perhaps one of the positives of the pandemic was a rediscovery of such a fantastic local resource. We've had a number of questions about the umbrellas that were lost during Tropical Storm Isaias. They've been ordered. We expect them to be delivered and installed the first weekend in July. And the basketball court is being removed. It's about 80% removed today, and it will be replaced by the end of the week or early next week. So continued improvements and attention to a wonderful local facility. If anybody's interested, it is a fantastic park.
It looks great. Kudos to DPW too for getting it ready and all. I know they did a lot of work to get it ready and looking good.
So Adam, what's the cost on the dump truck for that, all in? All in?
$220,000.
Okay. That's okay. Our trucks cost about that too, $220,000.
Just so everyone knows, we're not borrowing any money to buy that truck.
No, we saved up over multiple years, just like you do home improvements, and put the money to good use. But it is a very large, very expensive truck. That's all I have. Thank you very much, unless there's any questions.
Any questions from council?
No, I'm good.
No. Next on the agenda, public hearing on ordinance number 2021-06. Ms. Marsh?
Ordinance number 2021-06 is an ordinance to amend Chapter 189 zoning, Section 7, supplemental regulations, subsection 40, regulations pertaining to all districts of the Code of the Township of Pequannock, to include a new paragraph M to prohibit cannabis establishments as uses within the township. This public hearing was carried from May 11th and May 25th.
Are there any comments from council?
Yeah, I apologize. I missed last meeting because of packing. Where are we at with this?
So Councilman, maybe I can just comment a minute. We are still working on this issue. We've done some research, we've done some tours, actually. We've done some looking at ordinances from other communities, and we're not yet ready to move on amendments to this ordinance. It's still a work in progress. Because we have carried it now for 2 meetings, the recommendation tonight to the council is that we vote it down tonight with the expectation that we'll have a new ordinance for introduction at our next meeting. Now, that ordinance may be very similar to this one, it may be exactly the same as this one, but will allow us to start fresh and start the process again, which I think we need to do because of the amount of time we've put into this. So we will expect at your next meeting to have another ordinance ready for introduction.
Okay, but we're gonna make some modifications, possibly?
The plan is to make some modifications, and that will be the subject of further discussion and recommendation.
Okay, such as okay.
Yeah.
And will we have enough time, Bob, to...
We will. We've
get it?
timed it out. The township manager and I have worked on looking at a time schedule, so we are timed out to introduce it at the next meeting, have time for the planning board to do what they need to do as part of it, and be back before the council again for adoption before our August deadline.
Okay, because it's only fair to the people that are here about this.
Yes.
I've toured the facility 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I don't remember how long ago. My memory's going. I'm getting
It's a while
old.
ago.
But, at that time, I was rather impressed. So I'm hoping that, we carve out something or do something for crying out loud.
Yeah, I think, Rich, you weren't here at the last meeting, but that did seem to be the consensus. We do some work on that, on the
Okay.
ordinance.
Is that-
Yeah.
part, so that's what we're doing.
Okay? Thank you. Sorry. I always have to put my 2 cents.
So we have to vote this down tonight?
Yeah, my recommendation is we vote down the existing ordinance so we can...
But it's not a permanent...
It is open for public hearing, so if before we vote it down, before the council acts, we should open it up and...
So we'll open
We need
the
to,
public
yeah.
hearing. Okay.
But just understand, this will be the subject of another ordinance and another public hearing coming up at our next meeting.
Right. So is there a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
If anyone in the audience has questions or comments on this ordinance, please come to the microphone and identify yourself for the record. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance? And then we're going to vote.
Motion to adopt ordinance number 2021-06.
Are we adopting or?
No, we're going to vote it down.
But we're going to vote it.
We're going to vote it down.
Well, I thought we still vote no, right?
Yes.
Right, we still vote.
Make a motion to
and then we vote
consider
no.
the ordinance. and-
Make a motion.
No? Okay.
Right. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
No.
Mr. Hurd?
No.
Mr. Cole?
No.
Mr. Phelan?
No.
Mayor Russell?
No.
Motion fails.
Oh, that sounds terrible. Motion fails.
Fails to carry?
It's all right.
Is that better?
It's more common at land use boards than it is everybody.
Ken, you could let your air out now. He was like, oh, okay.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye, guys.
Next on the agenda is the public hearing on ordinance number 2021-11. Ms. Marsh.
Ordinance number 2021-11 is an ordinance to amend Chapter 5 of the Code of the Township of Pequannock regarding administrative control of the police department, rules and regulations.
So, sorry.
Are there any comments from council, Rich?
So does that make Adam the police commissioner?
It does not make Adam the police commissioner. We don't actually have a police commissioner
Okay.
in our form of government.
But he's still over top of them, correct?
Well, he always was. He was the township, the position of township manager, not the individual, of course, was always the administrative authority under our code.
So I could call him police commissioner on the side, right?
If that's what you'd like,
Yeah, okay.
I'm not going to argue situation.
I do not have a badge.
And that was there was only one change.
The recommended, there have been updates to this because we are an accredited police department, which is a phenomenal accomplishment. But they were handled through the appropriate authorities office or my office, and this just brings the code into conformance with our operations.
Yes, Commissioner.
Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
If anyone in the audience has questions or comments on this ordinance, please come to the microphone and identify yourself for the record. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance?
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2021-11.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trying to get Bob's attention. Bob, I shouldn't vote on this.
You should not. That is correct.
Thank you.
It's hard.
I was waving at you, but you weren't.
I kept going.
How you doing?
It's the reflection.
Yeah,
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
I'll abstain.
Mr. Phelan?
Yes.
Mayor Russell?
Yes. Next on the agenda is the introduction of ordinances. Ms. Marsh. For the council's consideration this evening is ordinance number 2021-12, an ordinance authorizing the sale of certain property owned by the Township of Pequannock known as Block 4606, Lot 2, not required for public purposes pursuant to NJSA 40A:12-13 at sequence. Mr. Brewer, any comments?
The requirement for retaining the piece of property was reviewed by the engineer, the planner, the construction official, the township attorney, and I. It was determined not to be in need. Recommendation of the governing body was given that it could be sold in a manner consistent with law. The ordinance seeks to accomplish that.
Are there any comments from the council?
No.
Is there a motion to introduce this ordinance on first reading?
I'll make that motion to
I'll
introduce
second it.
ordinance number 2021-12.
And I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Phelan?
Yes.
Mayor Russell?
Yes. The next agenda item is resolutions. Ms. Marsh. It's a long one.
Patience, everybody. All right, beginning with Resolution R 2021-140, approving the designated special event permit for the First Aid Squad. R 2021-141, providing for the insertion of a special item of revenue in the 2021 budget pursuant to NJSA 40A:487. This is for the Clean Communities Grant. 2021-142, authorizing estimated tax bills in accordance with Public Law 1994, Chapter 72 for third quarter 2021. R 2021-143, approving the renewal of the designated alcoholic beverage control licenses. That's for 8 of the licenses. 2021-144, clarifying occupancy limitations under the policy allowing temporary outdoor seatings for restaurants during the pandemic shutdown of retail and commercial businesses in the Township of Pequannock. 2021-145, authorizing the use of the Educational Services Commission of New Jersey Cooperative Pricing System for the purchase of a 4700 SB Western Star chassis. 2021-146, authorizing the use of Educational Services Commission of New Jersey Cooperative Pricing System for the purchase of a hook loader and accessories from Tony Sanchez Limited, ESCNJ, approved quote number BD74, to be matched with the 4700 SB Western Star chassis. Now I have to breathe for a minute. R 2021-147, confirming the assignment from Rayhan Ramadan to Hossam Yosef for the sale of public property no longer needed for public use, located at 90 Village Road, Block 2306, Lot 20, in the Township of Pequannock. 2021-148, authorizing a professional services agreement in an amount not to exceed $27,500 between the Township of Pequannock and Newmark Knight Frank Valuations and Advisory, LLC, for appraisal services associated with the Route 23 sewer project. 2021-149, authorizing the execution of a quitclaim deed releasing ownership from affordability controls for Block 2202, Lot 2, qualifiers C109. And R 2021-150, approving payment of the itemized claims as set forth on the June 3rd, 2021 bill list.
Thank you, Carl. Are there any comments on the resolutions from the council?
Yes.
I have some too.
Sorry, I was not here at the last meeting, so I apologize again. I was packing. 2021-144. I'm very hesitant about voting on this one. I mean, I feel sorry for some of these businesses that really took it on the chin during COVID, and I understand the residents' issues also. We're going to paint where they can't park. Is that true?
Yes, the areas that parking is currently prohibited will be made obvious.
Okay, we're going to inform that particular business that they must tell people as they walk in the door that if you park in that area, you will get ticketed and you will get towed?
We'll let them know that we're doing it, but we can't tell them that they have to enforce our parking rules.
Who can tell them? Can I call them?
You're welcome.
I mean, there's going to be signage.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be signage and we'll communicate that it's occurring, but I would imagine the business owner is as challenged by this as we are.
So, again, in my opinion, I'd like to see this held off until maybe the end of August. Then let's try to do the enforcement first and make people aware that, look, you're going to get a ticket. But there's a lot of money we can make on this, too.
144 is not really for the parking. It's saying that if you had 200 seats prior to COVID, you're only allowed to have 200 seats now. Correct. If you have 200 inside seats, you have 200 inside seats. If you have a tent outside that has 100, you are not allowed to have 300 seats.
Correct. I think the challenge, as we discussed at the last meeting, I think the issue was it wasn't, where we are today wasn't contemplated when the resolution was initially acted upon. With respect to the zoning officer's ability to enforce site plan approvals, I would speculate that this resolution isn't necessary for the zoning officer to do that. It just clarifies things in case someone wants to muddy the waters with an argument.
Yeah,
Mr. Usteik, if you could...
I would agree with that.
Thank you. So it doesn't actually change what is legally allowed, it just clarifies the council's position based upon what wasn't contemplated a year ago, 15 months ago, when the initial resolution was adopted. Because again, today, we're in a situation where the restrictions have been removed. Granted, there should be a grace period, people shouldn't be forced to turn on a dime, but we're not in the same situation where we had individuals that were essentially forced to not be able to operate.
Well, when you say not, so this resolution means absolutely nothing, in my opinion, because all it's doing is just reiterating what the zoning officer is going to be doing, correct?
There was a previous resolution that was adopted that did not include any specifics with respect to site plan, and this clarifies that issue.
Okay, I'm going to tell you right now that I'm not feeling comfortable with this.
Thank you.
Are we losing the fair housing unit, Bob, because that person has lived there for more than 30 years?
That's correct.
Wow.
And we did know that. We had a list of 5 that were in that situation.
There was a list of 5?
We knew of 5. This will be the 3rd.
So every time it changes ownership, the 30 years starts all
over again. So the person has actually lived there for 30 years.
So they can sell it for whatever the market value is?
They can sell it for whatever the market allows.
Wow.
I will say, when we get new units that we put on today, we don't fall for that anymore. Now, the exception, we say, no matter how long you're there, it's going to say an affordable unit. So, but this was one of the original, one of the starts. I think nobody really thought ahead to what would happen in 30 years. So but there's an entitlement to it, and we've done this for other people. So all we're doing is recognizing what they would be entitled to.
And just another quick question, the Frank, Newmark, Knight, and Frank, are they going to be doing the assessment at the end for us?
That is something that we've been discussing, but a final decision hasn't been made.
Okay.
It's not going to be the same guy with the glasses that was here that did...
No, this is the replacement.
That is correct, Mr. Fagan.
How long is the temporary outdoor?
I'd be happy to talk to you offline, but we're not in public session. We're not in public comment.
Yeah, and that's the only other, can I go now? I was going to say, that was the only thing I was going to bring up too, was on this resolution 2021-144 was, we're just getting, there's a safety issue, I get that, and we need to address that. but we're just getting these businesses back up, so I'm having a little bit of trouble limiting them too much. I'm just trying to figure out if there's something else we
Yeah,
can
but
do there.
I don't think we're limiting them. I mean, if you were zoned for 200 seats, so you can still, when we passed that ordinance before, we allowed them to have the outside seating to make up the difference what they didn't have inside that they could have outside.
Right.
We didn't want someone that was zoned for 200 seats to end up having 400 seats.
Right.
So this is what what it's doing. It's telling them, listen, you were zoned for 200, whether you want to have 150 inside and 50 outside to the end of 2021, you can do that. But you can't have more than what you were originally zoned for. And we think that that's what a lot of the people are complaining about.
I think so too.
You know, because they feel that, they were zoned for a certain number and they're way over that, which we don't know if they're actually over that, but that's what they feel.
Does somebody count the
How could
seats?
they have felt that?
Yes.
It wasn't open to everybody by the time they came in complaining.
Well, again, just to clarify, originally, we allowed outdoor dining because indoor dining wasn't allowed.
Yeah, right.
So to give them some opportunity
Correct.
to start doing something, and even at that point, it was, 25%. But now, being that everything's open, you can have 100% capacity inside plus whatever's outside, and then that has ancillary issues. So just to clarify under zoning laws and to clarify the resolution we put out, that's what we're doing.
It does sound like Resolution 144 should be pulled from the consent agenda and should be voted on separately, which is really the process, and we should be doing that whenever there's a question about one of the ones on the consent agenda.
So you're saying, as of right now, they are allowed to have 200 in and 100 out?
Well, whatever they were zoned for.
I think regardless of the resolutions acted upon by the governing body, the land use approval that took place prevails. But when the resolution was adopted of providing for outdoor seating, it wasn't contemplated that we would have a situation where you could have X seats inside plus Y seats outside.
But they were only...
Arguably, this resolution provides and continues to provide flexibility, because if you had 100 seats inside and 44 outside, and you still want to allow for outdoor seating and you want to knock down to 75 inside and have more outside, you still retain that flexibility, because that could be more desirable in this environment. But outside of any legislative change that would be prospective, the governing body doesn't have the ability to change a land use approval that has certain components to it that was acted upon either by the planning board or the board of adjustment.
So you're saying to give that flexibility, we have to vote this in?
I think the governing body adopted a resolution that didn't contemplate this issue. So this clarifies that issue. If I'm a restaurant owner and the zoning officer takes an enforcement action against me and I have an excess of seats beyond my site plan approval, I think ultimately a day in court is prevailed by the township. However, I bring the resolution in that was acted on by the governing body and it muddies the waters.
I'm okay with that.
So we'll pull out 144 and vote on it.
So we need a motion for the balance of the resolutions.
I'll make a motion to approve resolutions 140, 141, 142, 143, 145, 146, 147, 148, 149, and 150.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Phelan?
No.
On the balance of them?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
Mayor Russell?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Is there a motion to adopt Resolution 2021-144?
I'll make a motion to adopt R 2021-144.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
I'm still not confused. I'm going to vote no on this one.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Phelan?
No.
Mayor Russell?
I have to abstain because of a conflict.
We have a tie. What do we do? Flip a coin?
Motion does not carry.
There's a tie.
Oh, I thought we go in a rock, paper, scissors.
I thought we were going to flip a coin.
Moving on.
Next item on the agenda, items for discussion. Proclamations.
Thank you, Mayor. As I mentioned during my report, we had some recent discussion about proclamations and how they should be handled, and I would ask the council to have a conversation about it, and there's a number of different paths we can take. A policy can be established that gives direction to the clerks in my office. There's the potential to create the delegation of the governing body's authority to the mayor, the delegation of the governing body's authority on proclamations to the mayor and the deputy mayor or some other subcommittee. I just want to make sure that there's a clear understanding by the staff on how we should proceed moving forward and eliminate any potential ambiguity.
I say we do what we've always done.
Yeah, I say the same thing.
Yeah. Boy Scouts, Girl Scout gets the blue folder, Citizen of the Year gets frames.
Yeah, but the Citizen of the Year was always one person, and it was always done by nomination. So when you...
It was a strange year this year.
That's
So,
what I'm saying.
you know what? Carol found a cheaper way, I shouldn't say cheaper, a more cost-saving way to do it.
I was going to say,
Fiscally responsible.
$125 a frame?
It used to be an engraved plaque that was anywhere from $700 to $1,000. Now they're $125 a piece. So I think I think the way that it's being done now is actually nicer than the engraved plaque. So, you know,
I agree with Dave. I think it was an odd year. But I think our proclamations and things work quite well.
Yeah.
I just, my comment about, Citizen of the Year, you all know my thoughts on that. It should be done differently.
We don't, just so everybody knows, we do not select the Citizen of the Year. That is selected by the American Legion. So,
So why are we paying for the frames then?
Good point, Ryan.
Actually, it's selected by a committee that may include Legion people and other people.
but we don't even know. We don't know how
Can we
they were
talk about that as
chosen.
well?
We don't know.
For a public session, you can talk about whatever you want.
So I also, feel that we had two representatives on the committee, and we were asked that they no longer wanted two representatives from us, from council. So I think that we go back to the committee and we tell them next year we are having two people on the committee from council, or we're taking over the committee ourselves.
Absolutely.
I totally agree.
Period.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
We never should have agreed to step away from it because...
Look, it worked out fine this year, but moving forward, there should be two representatives from the council and the clerk's office, or whoever it is that sends the letters out to all the different committees and clubs. That should continue.
So they have a choice.
Right.
We have two people on it, or we take it over. Tell us what you want to do.
Yeah.
Period.
Just, and if I could interject, I appreciate the direction. How do we want to accomplish that? Do we want my office to work on it? Do we want...
I think it might be better
Council?
for your, because council has...
We know who the leader is, so you make a phone call to that person and you say, listen, this is the way it's going to be.
Okay.
But
Or else.
And speaking of some Legion
I
people,
think it
they
should
didn't even know that's
come
how
from
it
the
was.
manager's office.
Correct.
The people that are in the Legion for how many years? And he said, I didn't know that's how it was done.
Yeah, they had no idea.
Yeah, we just need to tighten it up a little bit and get the representation back. And I think coming from the township manager's office is the way to go.
Okay, so just so I understand and make sure I confirm the direction from council, I'll reach out to the representatives who were involved, schedule a meeting, I'll explain the council's position.
I don't necessarily think that's the right way to go, just my 2 cents.
Okay.
And the only reason why is, it's the other half of that. It's either we have two people on or we take it over. We really can't. Pequannock could say Citizen of the Year is XYZ.
Yeah,
We have no right in telling them,
No, I don't think we should take it over. but-
not to pick on you guys.
Yeah.
No, you're here. I see your shirts. I give you a plug.
in front of us.
Well, I think it should be
But,
taken
you know what I mean.
I agree with Ryan, and I think it should be taken a step further. I think it's wonderful, the people that are in charge of it, but I think a meeting needs to be set up, and maybe the anonymous committee people need to be... You need to decide who's going to be on the committee. You can't just call people at the last minute and put a committee together. You need to...
But do we agree that Brian, do you agree that we need to have two?
I agree we should have, if it's going to be backed by the township of Pequannock, and us as council, we need representation.
Correct.
If not, then, anybody.
Then they can do it and they can buy whatever they want.
So a meeting could be
Correct,
had.
but whoever does,
They pay their own fee.
no, they need to have representation from the council if they're going to call it Pequannock Citizen of the Year.
Right, because otherwise...
They want to call it Propel Citizen of the Year, I'm okay with that.
American Legion.
But if you're going to call it Pequannock
Chambers
Citizen of the Year,
I like to link
expect
to
us to
that.
pay for everything.
Can I make a suggestion? Perhaps the township's position could be, we'd like to have representation or we won't participate.
Right.
Because I'm not sure how much control we can have over what people call different things or not things. But I know the township can control whether it participates or not. That is obviously within our prerogative.
So we don't have Pequannock trademarked?
No.
Can we?
You can't trademark a place.
Copyright it?
Copyright it? Do you see little R next to Pequannock? No?
I just think the whole idea is to try to get everybody involved. So you want it to be Pequannock Township.
Hopefully
and
this year
have-
was just an off year, because we
Yeah,
never
it was an
found
off
out,
year.
Melissa, what you did to them
It
to
was
get
a
kicked.
Melissa!
I did nothing.
Melissa doesn't make anybody angry. So, definitely wasn't her.
And then with respect to proclamations, we'll continue with, as an operational policy, the folders and Citizen of the Year or whatever it may be in the future can
Right.
be revisited once we work through this
I mean,
process.
if we have...
I beg to differ.
Maximum of one.
If we have a person that's turning 100 and the council thinks that we may want to do something maybe a little more special, one of those cheaper black frames, okay, we...
Now there's a longer list. Okay, if you're 100, you get this. If you're 99, sorry.
The guy's turning 100.
May I?
He's turning 100.
May I interject here for just a second, since I'm the one who has to deal with this? Typically, there are a number of occasions when something comes up, and typically a council member will come to me and say, can we do a proclamation? In order to keep that under control for my own self, in the past I've said, let me ask the mayor. If everybody's okay with that, I'd like to say that the mayor, whoever the mayor is, has the final say over those ancillary ones. Somebody turned 105, somebody was a vet.
Yeah.
Right.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Okay with everybody?
that's...
So we have somebody clearly that we can throw into the bus if it goes wrong.
That's what the staff is looking for, yes.
Yes.
Sounds good.
I would appreciate that.
Works for me.
I mean, the ones that we do standardly, we'll continue to do the way we do. So you're right, that works fine. Okay, thank you.
Okay, are we good?
Thank you, yes.
There are no reports or notices this evening. The next on our agenda is council reports and announcements. Councilwoman Florence Lynch?
I don't have much, except the flood committee will be meeting this Thursday, June 10th at 7 o'clock. And the next Economic Development Committee meeting will be the 23rd at 7:30 p.m. Other than that, I think after our flood committee on Thursday, I'll probably talk more about it because we haven't finalized the dedication plaque, right?
Well, you saw, I printed that.
I didn't know if it was too premature to tell the council about that.
Yeah.
We'll wait.
Yeah, we're going to wait.
All right, flood committee's working on something, so.
And then, we can do something through council.
And that's it. I have nothing further. Thank you.
Councilman Hurd?
Let's see if I can get my mic to work.
Without buzzing.
Hello? Hey, there we go. All right, I just have two quick things. Happy Memorial Day. It was so nice to see everybody without masks on and having fun and handing out candy and pops. It was great. So that was awesome. Rotary 5K. I gotta, again, give big kudos to all of our volunteers. Company 1, Company 2, First Aid Squad. We really appreciate it. It was super hot, and it's nice to see everybody there. And First Aid Squad really, they were coming off of a hard morning, a rough morning, and then coming over to take care of the 5K. So I really appreciate you guys, and I can't wait to the shindig that you guys are going to have. It's going to be country, right? Country.
Is it going to be
There we
country?
go.
Oh, I like that.
Country and Pequannock,
Our
so
cowboy
make sure
hats
everybody's
and our
there.
cowboy boots.
Exactly. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Who won without Rob?
I don't remember the guy's name, but it was pretty slow. Not as fast as usual. 6:01 pace, which is much faster than me. But not as fast as Rob, so.
Councilman Cole?
Like Councilman Hurd said, it was a great Memorial Day parade, great to see everyone out. Nice job by all involved that ran that. June 4th, Company 1 Fire Department met. Not much really to report there, but they also enjoyed the parade and said that they thought it was a great turnout. Company 2 will meet this Thursday, and that's all I have. The only other thing that I have, and I should have mentioned it in the manager's report, is I'm just, I'm hoping that we can regulate the side street parking with the restrictions that we're placing on the turnpike, that the side streets don't take more of the parking than what's going on there now. That's all I have.
Awesome. Councilman Phil?
I don't have anything to report.
17th is the 8th grade graduation. Everybody got the emails. The 18th is the high school. The 12th is the Eagle Scout. Edward and Jacob Roby, I hope I'm saying their names right. Not the 12th, that's 6 o'clock at Greenview. You got those dates?
Well, that's this Saturday.
Yeah.
What did you report, the 12th and what else?
The 12th, the 17th is the 8th grade graduation, the 18th is the high school graduation. And I RSVP'd yes, and then something happened.
I saw the PV one, I don't know if I saw the high school one.
The high school came from Susan Miller?
Yeah, the high school came a while ago. Okay. I can forward it to you. Environmental is meeting tomorrow night, library next week. Who is attending the Morris County League meeting? You? Oh, you go? Okay.
That's next Wednesday, right?
Congratulations to that new knitting place. I was going to stop by today. I didn't have a chance because it started pouring, but our Economic, are they doing a grand opening?
Well, I'll check with Louise. She sets it up.
Okay, because they had like a sort of grand opening. I was like, wasn't big. They had all balloons and everything, and they.
Okay. A lot of times they open it and then they do it.
And then they do a big
one later.
Gotcha. Okay.
Do we know the name of it?
Knit Not.
Yeah,
Emery, you have it on your list. I heard you say it.
Knit Not Natters.
Knit Not Natters.
What do they do?
They have knitting classes. And
They can have knitting classes and sell yarn. I used to read a book series, and they had it was all about stuff that was in like a knitting shop.
I'll take a class if Adam takes one.
I'd love to learn how to knit.
Yes.
Put some music on, sit back. It's got to be soothing. Yeah.
I don't have the patience.
I used to do it because I can't sit still. I'm always fidgeting, so I found it was a way for me to actually sit still and pay attention. And people used to be like, "Why are you knitting?" I'm like, "Because I don't get up and walk around and move my
knitting
hands
with the
all over."
long needles?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe I was crocheting. I don't know what I was doing. I knew one
Knitting's the
stitch and I
long
could only make a scarf, and it's still going. It's like, I just keep doing it. Next on the agenda is public comment. If anyone wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized to come to the microphone and provide your name and address for the record.
Lorraine Mott, 6 Prospect Ave, Pompton Plains. I have a question about the approval or non-approval of the 2021-144. So is it not approved, or it's just gonna still be talked about?
It was not approved.
It was not approved. So then the amount of seats, and I'm just going to speak of Tavern 5, the amount of seats that Tavern 5 was originally approved for can now be increased because they also have the tent and the inside. Is that correct?
No.
No, that's not. Okay, that's why I'm afraid I'm not understanding.
So there was a legislative, if the council doesn't mind, there was a legislative act taken during the initial onset of the pandemic to say we're allowed for outdoor seating, where normally you'd have to go back and get site plan and go to the planning board or board of adjustment.
Right, yeah, I understand.
It'd be a huge process.
Yeah.
So the decision was made to provide some relief.
Mm-hmm.
And the issue that we're confronted with now wasn't contemplated. So just because that resolution was approved doesn't mean the land use approval is somehow voided or superseded. The zoning officer can still enforce that. But because it wasn't contemplated when that resolution was initially done, the resolution to clarify that was prepared. It didn't pass, but that doesn't mean it's not something that's enforceable from the zoning officer's perspective.
So they can have 100 seats outside and 100 seats inside, or whatever the number that they're allowed.
Right.
They can't have 300.
Right.
Oh, so they have to stick to their 200?
They have to stick to whatever they were approved for, correct?
But they could be.
And that is enforced.
Outside, half of them could be inside.
So then, what was it that was trying to be approved?
The resolution was clarifying that the site plan numbers were still in effect.
Okay, so...
Clarifying.
Okay, so either way, it's the magic number is 200.
Correct.
Okay.
Whatever they were.
Okay, and then just, thank you for mentioning that, and I think it's great about painting the lines and making things more noticeable on the turnpike for safety reasons, mostly, of course. But again, being on Prospect Ave, I am afraid that's going to lessen more spaces and bring more onto Prospect Ave, which, when they are parked on both sides of our street, it is a tight squeeze. Our neighbor was here at the last council meeting and actually measured the way people parked. It was inches difference between the width of a fire truck and the width of our street. So, just if we could just keep considering how we can resolve it, we would really appreciate it.
If I may, Mr. Brewer, I believe there is going to be some sort of striping or something, even on side streets?
There isn't any striping right now contemplated for Prospect or any of the side streets, but it's being very closely monitored.
Okay.
And the goal will be, if there are encroachments in front of driveways, if there are things that are done unsafe and enforceable, they'll be addressed. And if there are future actions that should be considered, they'll be discussed. The challenge is every solution has unintended consequences.
I know, yes.
And as I mentioned at the last meeting, if you were here, I was in another municipality where we did a parking ordinance 4 times on one street, and we don't want to have that happen. So hopefully,
No, I understand.
the initial stuff,
Yeah.
and we'll progress through it, but it is going to be very closely monitored, and I can't promise you immediate solutions, but I can certainly promise you attention.
I do appreciate that, though. Thank you, and I've never really attended to these meetings, so it's all new to me, all the legalities, but thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you for
This is-
coming.
We're a nice bunch.
Meetings can be entertaining.
And just to clarify, I mean, we're going to keep addressing that. We're going to, like you said, have eyes on it. We're going to, if
Yes.
things need to be addressed, they'll try.
We're not done by any stretch.
Right.
This is just an initial thing, and we'll see what the results are. And look, if people were parking in a manner that was described and enforcement action is necessary, perhaps that will create an educational thing and people stop parking like that.
Right, yeah, I mean, we did call, the neighbor called the police the one time, and I don't know, I mean, hate to bother the police department with things
That's
like
what
that,
they do.
but in a way,
That's kind of their job, too.
it needs to be maybe documented how often it's a problem, so, okay.
Let's hope that people start carpooling and walking there.
Yeah.
Especially in the summer. Adam, I actually have a question for you, building on that. If there are cars parked on both sides of the street, and First Aid Squad cannot get one of their rigs down, what happens?
There's a lot of damage.
I have seen
Come on,
a number
come on.
of circumstances in my career, and if an emergency vehicle needs to get somewhere, it typically does.
Well, I know they'll do what they got to do, but that can't happen. I mean, I don't even want that. Whether it's First Aid Squad, whether it's Company One, it's 3 houses down. They'll get out of the rig, they'll be trucking down there, they'll do whatever they got to do. But I don't want them to be in that position in the first place.
Right, but just to make sure we don't over-focus on this, whether it's Prospect Ave or another street where there's a graduation party or another street where there's an event, this is something always to be cognizant of. And, lawful parking is lawful parking, so we just need to be careful. But I've seen very creative ways to respond to emergencies when need presents itself. So that's not an immediate concern I have right now.
Okay.
But again, you have people who have events at places and you have parking. And as long as it's lawful parking, that's where people are allowed to park.
And all of our streets, all side streets, I mean, all of our side streets have parking available? I mean,
That's not a question I can answer. I'd have to do a lot more research to know if there's any restrictions that have been implemented in any.
Because I know some of the streets are wide, like I'm on Tilly, and there's plenty of room for parking, but Prospect is a tiny street, we've got a bunch of tiny streets, so I'm just curious, is there different parking rules that we already have, or?
I don't know the answer to that question. I know we have varying street widths, I know we have varying rights of way, I know we have some streets that have curbs, I know we have some streets that don't.
Right.
There's a significant number of factors factors that weigh into that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Next on the agenda is minutes for approval, May 25th, 2021. Are there any comments on these minutes? Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve May 25th, 2021 minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next on the agenda is closed session discussion. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 2021-151, authorizing the Township Council to meet in executive session to discuss matters of attorney-client privilege?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Opposed? At this time, the public portion of the meeting is recessed for closed session.